Hello out there, you walkers in a winter wonderland. Welcome to Thrones of Game, the Game of Thrones podcast where we watch the series backwards. If you've never heard the show before, well, let me just explain there, friend. My name is BT Calloway. I've already seen the entire show, and joining me as always is my dear friend Elliot Jay O'Neill, who had never watched a single episode until we started watching in reverse order. Elliot, how are you doing?
Happy of New Year's to you too.
Yeah, we're recording this just after Christmas, so I thought I'd throw that in. But hey, it's probably 2021 now. How's everything going perfectly and no problems whatsoever? Woo! Delightful. Just a quick second. I'm going to double check my headphone because I sound a little tinny.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure that's my headphones and not the recording.
Technical difficulties. Card flashes up. Oh, wait. No, it's a podcast. Just technical difficulties.
Yeah, editing me so you can find some music for that. Yeah, no, sounds better now. Okay, cool.
Oh, that sucks because that microphone wasn't recording, so that's just going to sound way more dramatic to us than to the audience.
It's all right, man. It's all right. I'll figure something out. Yeah. We just watched Season 3, Episode 4, entitled, And Now His Watch Has Ended. That is our bit. That is our bit that we obviously came up with ourselves.
They stole it.
God damn. Yeah, Elliot Jay O'Neill, what just happened?
You know what? A lot of talking, but I fucking loved this episode.
I really like this one too. For those of you playing at home, this is one where Varys gets some revenge, Dan Brady gets her army, and Sam and Gilly flee. Yeah, so let's start off with our first question. In an episode you fucking loved, what was your MVP?
Sass Queen!
Sass Queen!
Like, without a doubt, like, she just got so much to do in this episode. Because that's, like, kind of the problem with finding MVP is, like, sometimes it's just who was most prominent in this episode because they got more to do and it's a bit more dynamic. And, yeah, usually she's relegated to one, maybe two scenes. And, yeah, she got, like, 3 whole bits in this, and it was all fucking fantastic. And there's another one of these things where I saw a character pairing for the first time, knowing it'll never happen again, and her and Varys.
Oh my god, yeah, that was my favorite too.
Yeah, Varys was close second for MVP, just because, again, he got a lot to do in this episode, and that just was fucking character magic. Why it didn't happen more and why they didn't get an established friendship is just so dumb to me.
Look, man, it's the gooey caramel center. Like, it can't all be gooey caramel because then it's not the center. You just get this one good thing once and it remains good and great forever.
Delicious and succulent it was too. So much intrigue and
Yeah, because I'm wondering how early into the series run this is. Like, is this an introduction for Sass Queen? Maybe. I'm not too sure when she comes in. It feels like it though, because it feels like this is really establishing her as a character. I mean, it starts off with her sitting down and one of her grandchildren or something is like, oh, look at this one. They've embroidered a rose. And she's like, oh, another bloody rose. Well, how original. There are roses on my bed sheets and roses on my pillow and roses on my chamber pot. Not like it makes it smell any better. I was like,
fuck, she rolls.
Just pew. She's like the spirit of pew pew, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Like, just destroying everybody. But I love with Varys that, like, she goes to cut him down early, but he kind of, like, meets her on her level and they end up bonding, and it's so delicious.
It's a great bit where she feels like she's going to, shoot him down and not really listen to his whole speech, where she's like, are you flirting with me? Oh, go ahead and seduce me. And then there's a great line of, I wonder what happens when non-existence bumps against the decrepit.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap.
Like, yeah, that's, again, what I love about her. She knows who she is. She's self-deprecating and everything. And so this is a moment where she's sort of still on her guard and whatever and shooting someone down in the conversation, and in contrast to her conversation with Cersei, where I feel like she was being way more honest.
Yeah, very genuine. She has a great little back and forth of, as mothers, we do what we can to keep our children from death, but they seem to yearn for the grave. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. And they were just like, boys suck. Why do they get to rule everything? I don't know. It sucks.
Yep.
Like, they put it way more eloquently than I did, but, I wasn't that scrupulous and no-taker.
No, sometimes the lines are, like, so specific. I get halfway through writing one, I'm like, oh, how did that end? Damn it.
No, and her back and forths with Varys as well is like, ooh, is Cersei interesting? Nah. And the walking and the talking, like, yeah, again, for such a talky episode, I was pretty well engaged by every scene in this one. But yeah, Sass Queen just stands head and shoulders above
Yeah.
Fucking rest in power, Diana Rigg. That
For
ruled.
real. Yeah, and I do also like, 'cause we also make fun of, having walks in the garden is a thing. But even then, she has a line of, well, come and take a walk with me. I know the walls have ears, but apparently so do the bushes anyway, so we may as well move.
Yeah. Well, and I liked how they were sort of, Varys, starts talking about Littlefinger, and she's like, oh, I see we're approaching point. And it's like, okay, here's our common interest, and they're talking about him. And, like, I don't think I knew that Tyrion took over Littlefinger's job exactly.
Yeah.
So... yeah, I like this discussion of his power within the thing, and that Varys's line especially, he'd burn the city to the ground if he could be the king of the ashes. It's just the language used in their back and forths as well was just really chef's kissy fingers all round.
For real. I mean, and I do like this really sets up what we see in the next 2 episodes of all this relationship ship, who's going to marry who crap. It got kind of boring, but in Varys's telling of it, he's like, no one really seems to realize this, but Littlefinger is the most dangerous man in Westeros because he knows that if Robb falls, Sansa becomes the key to the north, and if he marries her when no one gives a shit about her, then he's got that key in his pocket. It's like, that's so good. That explains all these other bits that we didn't really care about. It took 2 more episodes of yammering back and forth to make this happen, but the point of it is right there, and it's so simple. And then I really love the follow-up scene where I can't believe it's not Marjorie Tyrell is walking with Sansa, and it's all like, oh, and you'll get to marry Loras, and like that's planting the seed, and you get the kind of the unseen moment of Sass Queen telling Marjorie Tyrell, you've got to go to Sansa and sell this idea to her, and then that'll kind of solidify that before Littlefinger gets a chance. It's like, and the fact that we didn't see that scene, but it's so heavily implied, I really love that. It makes you feel smart for understanding what's going on.
Oh, definitely. And sort of Varys is kind of your conduit for that a lot because of his gossipy nature and, the way he, sprunges information out of people. Yeah, that's why he was a definite close second because, he got a lot to do in this episode. And it's kind of weird. He didn't seem to get much to do this season after this.
No, well, no, not really. It's all he's the one who's like putting the pieces in motion, and then we watch that motion, I suppose. But I'm a little sad we don't get a little bit more Varys. I like Varys a lot. He's great.
But gooey caramel center.
That it can't all be, the good bits. It can't all be the guitar solo. You got to build stuff around it. I also really like when Marjorie, can't believe it's not Marjorie Tyrell, goes to talk to Sansa and, tells the guards, you can leave us, and they don't leave. And then she's like, oh, I'll tell my husband the king about it when I'm queen. And then they go. It's like, do the guards have to sit there and know who everybody is and how legitimate their threats are? Because they don't talk, they're just standing there, and yet they both leave at the same time do they have a series of hand signals, like a picture?
Yeah. No, guards seem to have an unspoken language, as we see later on in the end of the episode. Like, sorry, what do you mean by stabbing? Are you in favor of this whole situation?
You're saying stab, but I don't know which one. That one? Okay, we stabbed the guy on the left? Okay, cool.
What does striking the spears into the ground mean? You guards, use your words, guards.
I know, come on. I just want one of them to go, who is this again? That's Marjorie Tyrell. That name means nothing to me. I think she's engaged to the king. Right, so she's serious? Yeah, she's serious. All right, let's fuck off. Yep.
Let's confirm with Varys, but we should just leave in case. He knows all the gossip.
It's like, I can't keep track. There's so many moving pieces. I just came here to stand and hold a spear. God damn. I would kind of throw...
just because that's all to talk about that scene as well, but... just poor Sansa's brief moment of optimism in this. Life isn't so Jean Grey anymore. She's going to marry Loras, and she's going to have a BFF sister-in-law.
Yeah, I really felt for her in this moment because she doesn't know she's being manipulated by Marjorie, and it just finally looks like she's going to have a friend. It's like, oh, girl, I feel so bad for you. Well. Poor Sansa.
Yeah, and in this moment, I'm sure the audience may have had a sense of optimism for her too.
Well, on the forward watch, I remember hearing a lot of backlash about Sansa because she was all, I guess, whiny and things kept happening to her rather than having any kind of agency. But to me, that was always kind of the point. This is the person that can't do anything.
Yeah, she's a fucking teenager.
Yeah, and is being manipulated and moved around and just has no power other than her name, and that's it. Like, she can't fight and she can't, sneak around and isn't in the game enough to really manipulate pieces behind the scenes or anything.
She don't know she's the key to the north, so how would she exude that confidence?
She's just a girl trying to get by in this crazy world. Yeah. I'm split on my MVP.
I'm just a girl in Westeros.
Yeah, almost. One Westeros show at a time. I'm kind of split on my other MVP because I do want to give it to Theon and Ramsay's Riot of Lies.
Yeah, talk about fucking a destroyed sense of optimism.
Yeah, we just see this guy, we don't know who he is, riding around with Theon, and he's like, oh, I'll get you out of here, your sister sent me. Oh, I remember when I was a boy watching you sail off from the Iron Isles. Oh, I remember that.
Calling him my lord and everything.
Yeah, and even like, acting all shy and uncertain. Oh, I don't know, my lord. And then he just takes him back to the dungeon, and he's like,
I brought him back for you. Let's torture him.
He's like, but I mean, Theon really does a great moment here when, Ramsay Snow's unlocking the gate, and he's just having this moment of, I followed what my father said, but I should have followed what the family who actually raised me, which was the Starks, would have done, and I betrayed them, and I've ruined everything, and it's a lot of regret, and it's not a big kind of, oh, whoa, I've done everything wrong. It's just a kind of harsh realization on his part, which is like, I've gone and fucked everything up, and I'm an idiot.
Yeah, like, this guy's character trait throughout most of the series, and I've said it a lot, is just been shaking from the pain that he's holding with inside, and just sort of watching him sort of vent the steam a little bit, and unfortunately doing the backwards watch, and just once again my note saying, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Yeah,
like, fortunately
this isn't gonna go well for him.
Yeah, fortunately we didn't see any scenes of actual torture onto the poor dude at the moment, but yeah, seeing this moment of vulnerability, like, it's that beautiful, like, well-made kind of just...
yeah, and how much it hurts that he's, letting all his feelings out to this guy he thinks is saving him, and nope. Yeah, but my actual MVP, I want to throw to Varys and Tyrion's little back and forth. I wish there was a bit more of a lead-in. We just start with Varys prying open this crate and Tyrion talking. I wish they'd, walked into the room, but it's not really clear what exactly was happening then. But Varys then talks about the story of him being cut and the sorcerer who threw his parts on the flame and they burned blue, and he chanted and a voice returned and it was all spooky and creepy, and then he kind of opens up the crate and you see it's the sorcerer inside, and he's like, oh yes, I've had my influence spread far and wide, and I finally found this man. It's like, ooh, Varys got a dark side.
Yeah, and was his mouth, like, I couldn't quite tell because it was, like, a little darkly lit, but was his mouth stitched shut?
I think it was just a rope was in there, but it might have been stitched, I'm not sure.
It looked brutal, like, it was just, that guy was so dirty and everything, it was hard to tell what he'd been done.
There was a little detail I liked where the crate finally pries open, and Tyrion kind of looks in and is shocked, and Varys kind of isn't shocked, he knows what's in there, but he just kind of holds his hand to his nose, like, oh, you smell. It's again, doesn't even call attention to it, but he just does it as a reaction of like, yeah, that guy would stink.
That's it.
He's been in a crate. But if we can't tell what's in his mouth on a Blu-ray edition.
There we go. Dropped that in.
Yep.
Yeah, I've complained about the DVD quality of the first half of season 3 that we were watching. And again, I think it's just because, like, I got a 4K TV and it's showing up, like, some of the rough edges and pixelation that most TVs you'd get away with, or if you turned off motion blurring, but who would do that? Am I right, my TV friends? Anyway, but yeah, we upgraded to the Blu-ray edition, and yeah, it's made all the difference. Because I was kind of wondering if, like, the budget of the show increased, and, like, could the difference of DVD to Blu-ray really be that much? But yeah, it is. This show is definitely shot beautifully, and it kind of deserves to be seen on the best possible TVs best possible media that you have available at you. But yeah. Anyway.
And this has been Cock Talk.
Yeah. But yeah, just on that Varys scene as well, like, I can't, like, I've stopped calling him Burnt Newton for the most part.
Well, it's been such a long time since he looked like Bert Newton and was on fire, so.
Yeah, but now apparently, yeah, Burnt Newton Origins, his dick was burnt off.
Oh, yeah. Well, I missed that. Just like the rest of him in the end.
That's just such horrible foreshadowing. Like, maybe that's why he was so calm in the face of dragon death later on in the series.
Yeah, fire. It's fine.
Yeah.
The ghost of my dick told me it was fine.
But yeah, I imagine to live through it would make you more comfortable with dying through it, I suppose.
Yeah. But he's got a good little exit line where he says, after the sorcerer was done with me, he threw me out to die, but I resolved to live to spite him. And then says, I've soon found out that the contents of a man's letters are far more valuable than the contents of his purse. And it's like
so good.
Such a good little bit about just it's all just Varys begins, and it's great. I love it.
And yeah, following up the scene with him and the lady of the night, I assume.
Yeah, well, I mean, she suggests she's a former Lady of the Night now, maybe a key, informant.
Yeah, first time I'm meeting her, so I was like a little worried, thought she might die.
Reasonably sure she's the one who shot in the end of the last episode.
Oh, really?
I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, actually, I'm quite sure. Yeah, unfortunate, but there we are. Let's see. Oh, we'll move on to our next question of nudity. Nope. Okay, moving on to our next question of violence. Wait, I don't need to lean away from that. Violence.
A little bit of violence.
A little bit. We start off with, what's his name? Jim Jam Lannister being led through, just led on a horse, his hands around his neck. Not around his neck, hung around his neck.
His dismembered hand.
Yep. We get a little bit of the guys taunting him. He goes, "Oh, how many of those fingers reckon we can shove up your ass? Oh, is that what you do with your sister? She got you ready for us? Aha." And I'm like, they're talking about the 3 types of sex again. It's like canon.
Yeah, that's the very, very kinky variant of the 3rd type of sex.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. But hey, if that's what floats you I was trying to come up with a different word for boat, but fuck it, boat.
Yeah, well, he may not have shoved those fingers in his ass, but he got muddy fingers in the end.
Yeah, then I like how he falls off his horse onto like the one muddy patch. I wanted him to just be like, really? Oh, I'm having such a case of the Mondays.
First the hand, now this.
But then,
what's going to happen next? Am I going to drink horse urine?
Yeah, because then he asks for water and the guy pours on his head like a jerk. And then what's his face? I always forget this guy's name.
Noah Taylor?
Yeah. Then Noah Taylor's all like, "Oh, why don't you drink from this? Oh, I've never seen a man drink horse piss that quickly." And it's like, did you just have that? Were you just waiting for like, I've had this bottle of horse piss for like 6 weeks, but one day it's going to be really funny.
It's the same as like, if you ever heard of a year 12 muck-up day, our audience out there, and like the people who would fill water balloons with piss, and it's like, what was the process to do this?
Yeah.
Like, surely there's more shame on you for actually doing that than it was the person that got the piss balloon thrown at them.
Yeah, and being like, look, I've looked at the number of balloons you have filled with piss. This took days. This took effort. Of a really disgusting nature. What's wrong with you?
Also, this one's looking a bit like a sunset. You need to drink more water.
Yeah, or was this a plan of Noah Taylor's? He was like, okay, what I want you to do, just don't give him any water for like a couple of days, and then at some point he's going to beg for it. Then I want you, Tim, to walk over and pour the water on his head, and he'll be like, "Oh, there's water on my head, but not in my mouth. What am I to do?" And then I'm going to offer him the bottle of horse piss, and I'll take it. Okay, we all got this? Everyone know their parts? Good, let's do this.
Absolute year 12 muck-up day fuckers, this one.
Yeah.
And it's interesting seeing Noah Taylor's character in this sort of section of the show, because when I saw him in the past, it was more conniving and evil, and you didn't really know where he stood, and this is like bombastic and just so gleeful in his torture of this poor one-handed dude.
Yeah, pretty much. He's a right bastard, but he's at least I kind of feel like I get him a bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of just being mustache twirly evil, he's like just doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's enjoying lording the power over the Kingslayer.
Yeah, whereas in the later season stuff he did, I felt like it was a bit stunt casty, but this one, it feels like his character has a point.
I maintain it can't be stunt casting because most people don't know who Noah Taylor is.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I mean, I might be wrong. Who the hell knows?
The lead star of He Died with a Falafel in His Hand?
Yeah, you out there, do you know who Noah Taylor is? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ends with a mud fight. I wrote down fighting dirty. It was not that great, but hey, that's what I got.
And this was another one of these like great fight scenes where I felt like they were doing something original in the show, where there was just no hope for either Jamie or Bree, but they were going for it.
Yeah, no, I kind of like that as well, where it's just, Jamie manages to get a sword from one guy, but he's already exhausted and he's using his left hand. And so he tries, and the guys are standing back, so they know he has a reputation, and they're like, even tired with on his offhand, he's still dangerous.
Yeah.
And no, it doesn't go well for him, unfortunately.
No, and they're just like poking him and prodding him like like they're torturing a poor small animal or something, and then Bree with her hands bound still gets a couple of good licks in. I mean, I actually meant to say gets a couple of good kicks in.
Licks in, kicks in.
Yeah,
whatever. And then we get a nice follow-up scene where, Jim Jam and Tilda Swanson are just sitting around the fire, and she's like, you have to eat. And he's like, no, I'm busy dying. And she's like, oh, you've had a taste of the real world where people have important things taken from them, and you've decided to whine and quit. You sound like a bloody woman, which she's allowed to say because she is one.
My note there was Brie sexist. Yeah, I heard that scene totally different. I heard her going like, what you doing? And it's like, dying.
How's that working for you?
Bad.
Okay, well, chin up there, Scout.
But I liked the cleverness of the storytelling in this was fantastic because, yeah, one of the problems I have with this show is because I'm watching it wrong, so I don't have a context for a lot of shit. But this was just great storytelling, and Bree saying how Jamie deceived the captors or whatever by saying that the Sapphire Isle was named for the gem, but it's just the blue of the water.
Yeah.
And that was just a lovely bit of storytelling on her part. And then he eats, so it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. And and now you understand that bit later on where they're all like, they somehow got it into their heads that her father has all the sapphires in the world. He's like, oh shit. Because that's what he told them. Let's see, other violence we've got.
Speaking of eating and violence.
We got a little, well, first of all, it starts off with them burning one of the Night's Watchmen, and because they're all starving, they're like, it's weird, he smells really good. So yeah, it's a good way to explain that they're all just starving and exhausted. And this is where the episode title comes from. We go inside to Craster, who's just being a dick, and discount Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. Actually, on the good side of killing this time, I assume.
I mean, the enemy of your enemy is not necessarily your friend, despite the saying. Because Craster's like, the next one that calls me a bastard, I'm going to chop his ass. So he's like, you're the most bastardy bastard that ever bastard, you bastard.
Yeah, and it was full on, not even one of those, if any of you say anything, and then just under the breath. No, he was just out with it.
You got to lean into it for sure. But then it's he charges it in with an axe and discount Willem Dafoe just right under the jaw, up into the head, and it's nasty, but it works.
Oh, when they choose to go full detail on their goriness, like... Again, it felt artful, I gotta say. Like, even though, it's very disgusting to see, his tongue back and the blade popping up on the inside of his mouth. It's full on, but fuck, it's effective.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And given how much of a bastard Craster is, it's kind of satisfying to see.
Again, having zero context, I got it all in that moment. I suppose, someone hoeing in on a giant fucking leg of something. And
yeah, well, don't worry, you'll find out why he only has daughters soon.
But it's still funny to me in this show where this is in a time, in a place where one of the worst things you could call a person was... you were born and your parents weren't married at the time.
Yeah. It's weird.
Way to be shit at life, dude.
Yeah. It's like, way to be born and have no control over the circumstances, dick.
Your parents had sex and then had you and didn't engage in a religious ceremony.
Sucker. Yeah, I mean, wait till they find out proper swear words. But yeah, then the guy who's captaining all these Night's Watchmen gets stabbed in the back, but then still goes for the full chokehold on the other dude and nearly gets there, and then just succumbs to his wounds, and it's all bloody and nasty.
Yeah, that's the guy who gets iced by... Fuck, who is it? Is it the Wolf or Jon Snow later?
I believe the Wolf eats his face.
Yeah, that's right, because he's teasing him and shit later on.
Yep, and then he gets wolfed.
And the heavy metal roadie as well makes an appearance. That guy, I don't know his name.
Pretty sure it's Ed, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That sounds like such a roadie name. But yeah, his hair's a lot shorter in this one. He's about at indie rock band roadie at the moment.
Like just when you're starting to leave the indie scene. That kind of, yeah. I mean, maybe he starts off like Shortcut at the very beginning of this show and just let it go.
Yep.
It's the one consistent thing they got. Yeah. I think that does.
Yeah, with the exception of Cersei, everyone's hair gets a lot longer.
Well, then at one point, yeah, a lot shorter. And the other bit of violence is the part where I was like, oh yeah, Dan Brady's part of this show. But I'll admit, I actually quite like this scene. This is where Dan Brady basically buys the Unsullied in exchange for a dragon, and then the guy who buys the dragon is like, hey, this dragon isn't doing what I wanted it to do. And she's like, cool. Hey, army that I just bought from this guy who then now doesn't have an army anymore. Just kill everyone, thanks. Cool.
Yeah, this was one where, because I loved it too, and I've been very critical of the Dan stuff, but this one felt like it wasn't just her winning just because, it felt like, this guy who was obviously, relishing in extravagant things and, would finally get a dragon and be excited about it and would be so stupid to trade an army for it.
Yeah, he's basically the Veruca Salt of like, but I want a dragon now.
Yes.
And then he gets his dragon, then the Unsullied are all like, Oompa, Loompa, stab. Yeah. It's a good bit. And what I really like is at the end of this, it does like a big pan out shot, and it does, Dan Brady holding the whip and symbolically dropping it because they're free men now fighting for her. But the music is very ominous, and there's just wave after wave of Unsullied soldier marching out. And it kind of makes me feel like at this point, this director at least, was maybe leaning towards Dan Brady being a little bit more questionable in her ethics. Like, was this really about ending slavery, or was this about acquiring a massive army? And it really makes me wish they'd played her a little bit more, grey rather than, she's such a good woman until the very end, and she just wouldn't have been good or bad, just a rising force that was going to eventually oppose everything else we knew.
Yeah.
And it kind of bums me out they didn't do that, and they just kind of tried to make it this knight on shining dragon, knight of shining hair rather, whatever. that then suddenly went bad. It's just so much less. Even then, the build up, everything else we see in this season is her just being good and winning, and that's it. I would have loved a bit more ambiguity.
Yeah, well, what really stood out to me from this scene as well, and something that I liked, was the color choices, because, and I think this really backs up your theory here, is that, there was this, like, prominent dark grey purple shadow where there was like lots of sunset colored orange light poking through it. So I think that's really selling that sort of mixed optimism slash
because there's a great shot of her like facing camera, but behind her is like this almost like napalm strike line of fire going across, and then the kind of smoke billowing past the sun, which looks impressive but also very ominous because this is destruction. And you can't possibly say that no one innocent got hurt in all that.
That's it. And a real contrast to that fucking people circling around her and everything's bright and well lit, and it looks like the end of fucking Mortal Kombat 1 style, and the dragon swoops through. Like, this feels like there's some storytelling in the art and color, and again, it's this thing that I do find interesting about the Dan story of you're all free men, but you're still, in your square formations and you're following me and doing what I say, but you're free. Yeah,
she does have this thing of, any man who wants to leave can leave now and I won't stop them. All you can fight for me is free men. And these guys have known nothing but slavery their entire lives. How many of them are going to go, oh, cool, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a little market down and, going to maybe sell some tin cans. They had no plans. They didn't know what they were doing. They've got nothing in the entire world except being soldiers. You offer them the chance to be a soldier or basically be nothing, they're gonna pick being a soldier.
Yeah.
So it's not the freedom she makes it out to be, and I wish I'd leaned onto that a bit more, because it's such an interesting dynamic to be like, you offered them freedom, but you offered them nothing.
Yeah, well, I feel like everyone sort of joins up with her clan like way too quickly as well in other episodes, and that there was hesitation after her question. And then, we get the soldiers' spears.
Slow clap, basically.
That's exactly what my note was,
Just stop. And it's effective, but man, it's just, on this watch through, I really question, like, how many of them are just doing this because they don't know what else to do? And then the fact that never comes up as a point kind of bums me out.
Yeah. And, like, I was really impressed with this scene. And, I totally agree. I wish there was more of this style of storytelling with the Dan stuff.
Yes, more ambiguity, Dan. I like ambiguity.
Yeah.
I also wrote down, because she wheels the dragon up in this cart and then it's chained, I wrote down how to chain your dragon.
Hey.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's what I had.
But, not bad. Potential episode title right
I'm just pitching them out.
But I was also sort of thinking in this moment as well, because it got to the end of the episode and I thought the only scene that really dragged for me was the Arya and the Hound in the cave bit. But I think that was more because I knew where it went, and sort of this just felt like filling in the time. But I was really questioning what made the editors choose to put certain bits where. And I assume it's sort of from episode to episode, you want to have like one story thread having a high action scene while another one is having their more talky pieces moving moments.
Yeah.
And you sort of want to have them trading off in episodes.
Makes sense.
Which, for the other week when we were watching a very talk heavy episode, it's like, why weren't you sort of planning that out a bit more?
Yeah, they needed those breaks of action or something else going on.
Yeah, and so for most of these episodes, it seems like Dan gets the final scene, and I'm always curious why. Like, they choose to put it there. Because even this one, it's like, I would have probably put the Night's Watch scene last if I was doing it there.
Because that ends with, Sam and Gilly running off into the woods facing an uncertain future. And again, because you're not trying to build Dan Brady, well, you're building her as a force to be reckoned with, but as we find out, it's meant to be an all-shining good force, so it's not dynamically interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas the uncertainty of what's happening to Sam and Gilly this is just her solidifying power. It's not uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I think you always want to end on uncertainty because that drives interest.
Yeah, okay, I suppose. Yeah. It's just interesting, yeah. Something to think about.
Oh, no, I agree with you. That's what I mean. It's like, end with the Night's Watch scene because that is a big question mark of what's going to happen next time.
Yeah.
Whereas we know what happens with Dan Brady next time. Now she just has a bunch of other dudes.
But yeah, I am curious to know what the thought process is in arranging these scenes.
Yeah, are they just from script? Are they editing? Do editors decide this kind of thing? I don't know. Yeah, good question. We'll have to find someone who knows because I certainly don't. In the Arya, Hound, and Gendry with the Brotherhood without banners scene, there's a couple of good lines in there. I do like that Captain One Eye's all like, I've seen better days and I'll not see them again. It's like,
yeah,
that's a good way of phrasing it. Yeah. It's like things are getting worse and it's probably going to get worse from here.
Yep.
And then they like basically try and put the Hound on trial for murder. He's like, fuck off, I didn't do that. That was all my brother. Just because I'm a Clegane doesn't mean I'm killing the same people.
Yeah, and once again, I don't think I was fully aware that he was Joffrey's guard before.
Yep, we'll get to that at the Battle of Blackwater, which I think happens at the beginning of this season, or maybe late last season, or late next season, rather.
Okay.
We'll get there. All
right. I won't flip ahead in my notebook and see, is that episode title coming up?
You can. I'm certainly not here to stop you. I'm just going to go through my notes, see if I've got anything else. I do like a little scene between Seesaw and Tywin Lannister, and she's all like, hey, you're giving all this, credit to your sons. How about your daughter, who's been listening to all your rambling on about family and legacy and blah, 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 and may have actually taken some lessons from that?
Oh, and just his little puts the pen down. Okay, contribute.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, Charles Dance just killing it with a single line. And I wanted her to be like, I mean, I don't have anything right this second, but I mean, like, in general, if I could be involved.
Yeah.
She's got something, but she's basically just worried about the Tyrells, and ultimately she's like, I can't believe it's not Marjorie Tyrell has her claws in my son. And it's like, and he's like, cool, good. That's what I wanted.
About time.
Someone to control that psycho.
Yeah, you're not as clever as you think you are.
Yeah.
He's got you wrapped around his little finger. Like, not little finger, but his finger.
Yeah. Not little finger, little finger. Why do we name him that? Didn't think about this at all.
Let's get him out of our town.
Yep. And he's got a line, I can't quite remember it, of, I don't distrust you because you're a woman, I distrust you because you're, I don't know, maybe it is because you're not as smart as you think you are or something like that. I can't remember. It was a good bit. Charles Dance kills, as always.
Yeah, well, again, it's what I like seeing about sort of Cersei Begins here, because I've seen her, just being this all-dominant, all-powerful force that people are so intimidated by, and even though she's clearly like in her late 30s, early 40s, she's still like a daughter. Like, it's very weird seeing this dynamic from her and her trying to move the pieces, but being like oppressed like this.
Yeah, and again, I think you need Charles Dance for that. You need someone who's going to command that scene entirely to give that sense of this is why everyone's under his thumb, because he can do that. Yeah, it works really, really well. So I'm just flipping through. We've got some stuff that didn't really matter too much. We got a bunch of guys shoveling shit, and they're like, oh, look, more shit. Nothing to that. I just wanted to say, oh, look, more shit. Gilly has a thimble Sam gave her. I don't know what that is, but I guess we'll find out.
It's thimbolic.
Oh, yes. Writing that down. We've got a bit with Allbran running, and you're like, well, this is obviously a dream.
No, I was sure this was going to be me watching him get disabled. Well, I don't know. It didn't feel like a dream sequence at the start. It felt like he was running away from something.
Yeah, it's fair. And then he climbs a tree and looks at a three-eyed raven, and his mum shows up and says, don't climb trees. And he's all like, what do you mean?
Yeah, mum showing up was the giveaway. Okay, yeah, this dream
what
sequence.
What is Catelyn Stark doing in a tree? What? Yeah, fair. Not too much came from that, but then we've got this bit with, again, we mentioned it before, Varys talking to, I think it's Rosie is her name, in the brothel, just getting information. But it starts with, so was it particularly large? And she's like, no, they've had large. It's like, and they said what? He was the most extraordinary man they've ever had. What? How did Podrick do this? Are we talking about the same Podrick? And once again, the appearance of Podrick's magic cock.
Yep. He's just full of surprises, that little squire.
Yep, I know. It's a bit that's going to come up, and that's why it's funny. Let's see. Then Joffrey takes, I can't believe it's not Marjorie Tyrell, on a little murder tour of the Sept, and it's like, and this is where this person is buried, and this is how they died, and they suck, and this is where this person's buried, and they suck, but they're also dead.
It actually reminds me of a Simpsons episode of HD era one where, like, Lisa has the line of like, Bart's usually so dumb, but when it comes to torture, he really knows his history, and it's the same with this kid. You know, he clearly has no other life skills, but fuck, he's just got history of death and murder and stabbings and fire eaters just burned into his brain.
Yep. So, I mean, he's got that, I guess. I don't know, man.
And just her clear fake smile as she's going through, oh no, I delight in hearing all this. And then she teaches him to wave.
Yeah, pretty much says, oh, let's go out and see the people. And they're all like, yay, Marjorie, yay, yay. And then she's all like, you wave, and then the people like you. And you hear this, yay, Joffrey. And he's like, oh, this is how I get popular. Yay. Yeah, pretty much.
Do I stab them? No, you just wave at them.
Yeah, but after the wave, do I wave to the guards to shoot them with arrows? No, just wave. Huh. Waving. Who would have thought? Yeah. And I think that puts me out of notes. How about you?
1 second. Yeah, talked a lot about Varys and...
I mean, there was some really good Varys bits to talk about.
The porridge plague. I wrote that down as a question mark, and Greyface, is that what that was? But
no, when Marjorie Tyrell's like, oh, I wish my sister would get porridge plague, and Sansa's like, what the hell is that? And she's like, oh, and then just makes something up.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm out of notes.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to talk about these ones. We just hurtle through them out of interest. Well, then we must ask our final question. How did we get here?
Well, Varys came up to me in the garden and let me know some secret information that the next episode would be called Walk of Punishment. I thought I saw this episode.
That was Walk of Shame.
Oh.
Attach the Stone of Triumph.
You're right.
No, man, I don't know either. So what are we betting on here? Walk of Punishment.
Oh, who was walking and who was getting punished for walking? Maybe this is Jaime's bit? Maybe,
yeah.
I really don't know. I don't have a read or a joke on this one. It's just...
Yeah, I got nothing.
Are we going to see Billy Joe Armstrong in this one? Just walking an empty road, the only road that he has ever known?
Yeah. Are we going to see John C. Reilly is walk hard?
Oh, yeah.
That's hard. That's not punishment. I guess punishment is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his brother died.
Yeah.
Oh, the wrong kid died.
The wrong kid died. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing, so I'm genuinely curious. Surprises in my future? What?
All right, well, yeah, we will...
check that one out. All right. Well, until that time, I've been BT Calloway. That's been Elliot Jay O'Neill.
Goodbye.
And for now, our watch has ended. And we say that, not you, show.
Okay, testing good.
Testing good indeed. Actually, Batman tests good. Actually, Superman tests good. I fucked everything up. I'm going to leave.
Renegade superhero. Actually,
super bad.
I messaged Nick from Pods in the Kia Springfield. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, said, hey, Merry Christmas, champ. And then he messaged back, Happy Easter, Renegade greeting. Pew, pew, pew.
Yes, it's spreading. Awesome.